So hi, my name is Jonathan Schick, and I advise EFAA on digitalization and artificial intelligence. EFAA, or the European Federation of Accountants and Auditors for SMEs, was founded in 1994 as an umbrella organization for national accountants and auditors organizations, whose individual members provide professional services primarily to SMEs within the European Union and Europe as a whole. EFAA for SMEs has 15 members throughout Europe, representing over 400,000 accountants, auditors, and tax advisors. My work at EFAA consists of studying how digitalization, AI, new technologies have an impact on the industry and provide practitioners with the general right advice on how to tackle these challenges and leverage its advantages. So welcome to this episode of our podcast, where we dive into the real-world experiences of professionals navigating the evolving landscape of digital finance. In this episode, which follows our well-received AI and accounting guide on privacy and security, we focus our attention on how AI is transforming the way SMEs and SMPs manage their operations. More specifically, we explore how practitioners can best use these new tools while not compromising on their privacy or their security concerns. To explore these topics further, I'm joined today by Joris Van Der Gucht. Joris is the co-founder and CEO of Ravical, an AI-first tech company building agentic software for expert firms in accounting, tax, HR, payroll, and insurance. Previously, he was a co-founder of Silverfin, one of Europe's leading accountancy platforms. Joris brings deep experience in driving digital transformation across expert firms. At Ravical, he's focused on helping these firms go AI first by providing an actual workforce of AI agents. He strongly believes the next era of professional services will be built around hybrid teams of humans and AI agents, and he's here to help shape that future. So without further ado, let's dive right into the subject matter. Joris, it's great you could be with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan. And you forgot maybe in the introduction that I was actually an accountant before I landed into tech. So I have some experience in the industry, to be honest.
Right, not irrelevant. Thank you for pointing that out. So my first question is, what's your general view and experience with data privacy and AI-driven tools for accounting and auditing? If you give us just a general overview of your view.
Well, very important and very relevant question, I think. So first of all, in my opinion, the data privacy aspect is really non-negotiable in adopting AI for accounting. And it really underpins the trust with the clients, in my opinion. So I think firms need to implement basically a zero trust approach, which means never assume, always verify. That means every prompt, every data set should be kept in mind with that zero trust approach, to be honest. And in practice, that means it's isolating client data, it's applying strict access controls, and ensuring like full audit trails and visibility.
Okay. And having said that, that may all be very true, but it's maybe not so easy for, let's say, smaller practices or SMEs to implement necessarily. So what are some of the best practices you can share maybe when it comes to leveraging AI while ensuring that maybe from a point of view of not too large a firm, let's say, they can put these things necessarily easily into place?
Yeah, I agree 100% with your concern that it's not always straightforward and relevant for smaller and mid-sized firms, to be honest. But it's so crucial that these firms try to adopt a privacy by design mindset. And that means like basically in practice that security should be built in the tools they start to use, not added later. So it should be priority number one to make the decision. So that is crucial. Keep in the back of your head that you should avoid sending data to maybe the more general purpose AI tools without having the right safeguards in place. So, and prefer maybe to be regularly compliant with an AI solution, definitely for sensitive client data, to be honest. But I agree on your point. AI for mid-sized large firms, even it's a big agenda, a big topic, and in terms of security, it's not always easy to make the right decision. So therefore, we really say like, put it as topic number one, make sure that the vendor, the tech company itself is 100% compliant and start from there.
Okay, and can you maybe, because this I'm sure it sounds correct, and I'm sure in theory is very, very valid, but can you share maybe a practical example of how you've used AI in accounting, but specifically without compromising on data and privacy standards? So if you could really give like a step-by-step or a short overview of how you would go about that.
Yeah, the feedback you have from the industry that sometimes AI is too general for the industry. So if you start to use a general platform, you start to prompt, maybe the output is not delivering the value that we want. So therefore, we need to start with really practical use cases that make an impact in the industry. And that is basically exactly what we try to do at Ravical. We can't fix everything yet or elevate every workflow yet with AI, but there are already definitely loads of workflows where AI really can start helping and making day one impact. And to give you a good example, at Ravical, we have chosen for an agent, which is a mailbox agent, an agent that triages the emails from your clients and really helps you to have better quality-driven client communications with your clients. So that's really in a privacy environment. It's basically in your Office 365 tenant, so you can almost guarantee that it's used in a very safe manner. And the outcome of having an AI-driven mailbox agent is that you gain a lot of efficiency, but as well in terms of quality efficiency, loads of context. It can really deliver day one an added value for you as a firm. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. And generally, one of the I would say concerns is where the data is located itself.
Yeah.
So one of the points that came up often is in terms of where should the AI tools or solution be hosted. Do you have any view on that? We see certain advantage or disadvantage of, let's say, being locally hosted, for example?
You can have multiple views on that. I can only give you some advantages and disadvantages. So maybe the advantage of having your data or your AI locally hosted is that you have full control over your data. So you can have stronger compliance with GDPR and local regulations. That links to the higher client trust. Your data literally never leaves your environment. So that control aspect then again is crucial. And for a firm, it's maybe easier to implement audit logs and access controls. So those are the advantages. Saying that, I think you also have quite a lot of disadvantages in these times as well. And therefore, I think it's relevant to look at the quality of the vendor itself because, having it locally hosted has a higher setup and maintenance cost. Sometimes quite often a big investment even, and for a mid-sized firm, that's not always doable, to be honest. And as every technology moves very quickly, hosting something locally versus with AI tools, an example, there is a slower pace of innovation maybe compared with the cloud-based AI services you can adopt as well. So that's crucial to keep in the back of your head as well. And in a way, if you really want to host it locally, there is a limited scalability as well. If every firm starts to run their own infrastructure, to be honest, yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you for that. When we had our digital working group, one of the questions that keeps coming up from members because of all these new AI tools and the uncertainty around that, one of the, I would say, most recurring questions we had was specifically what happens with the data once we input it or we paste it into AI, an AI agent, be it ChatGPT, be it Claude, being, I don't know, Perplexity, whichever one it is. Yep. It's kind of a black box in a way. We have no idea what happens with that data. We don't know where it goes. We don't know how it's being processed. Is that data, for example, used as an input for another accountant in terms of methodology? Do you have maybe insights on that, of how we can imagine that for the data once the prompt is entered into an AI tool? What happens with that data?
Well, I think the default behavior is that in most public AI tools, the prompts may be locked and used to improve the models, unless it's explicitly disabled. That is the default position, in my opinion. So the risk for a firm is that sensitive client data could end up in training data sets or be accessed by the vendor. So that is basically what can happen. So what can you do as a firm? There are already quite a lot of solutions in place. You can start using enterprise versions that really guarantee no data retention, an example. You can strip or anonymize client identifiers before sending prompts. You could do that, but that's already very detailed in my opinion. And making sure that you have a good understanding of the vendor itself and how they work with the data and the prompts. That's then again the fundament of this conversation, in my opinion. Understand really the strategy and the agreements that are put in place with the specific vendors. Yeah.
Right. And with that, if I understand you correctly, it's always better to be safe than sorry and kind of take the precautions and
Always, 100%. Yeah.
All right. Now, if we look some practical steps how SMEs and SMPs can go about using AI for their accounting and auditing objectives, what would you say are the current AI solutions in your experience that many auditors and accountants use? And would you have a preference or would you have an advice in terms of choosing one above the other?
Well, my recommendation would always be try to start small. So that is crucial. I think we all see a big innovation coming or happening as we speak. We think it can be very disruptive for our industry. It probably will have a disruptive piece, but try to start very small, very practical, and with having an impact day one. Choose a solution, then again, that's easy to implement. Delivering that value immediately, but invest in training as well, not only the models, but your organization. I think it's all very new. Just the concept prompting, to give you an example, I think loads of people in our industry use prompting like Google 2.0. There are some elements to learn over here. So I think those aspects are really crucial to adopt AI.
Okay, and when you say training, you mentioned, I think that's an important part in terms of the data security challenges we have. What type of risk management training would you advise on SMEs and SMPs having? Would it just be general usage of AI tools? Would you have very specific things you would focus on?
Very relevant and very good question. But before I answer that, I think it all starts with understanding what's the knowledge of AI in a specific office or organization. If for some organizations, AI is just ChatGPT, for others, it's already agentic AI. So you always need to start from that basis, in my opinion. And I think every education aspect should be linked with having security training in place, understanding like that awareness, what to do with client data, what don't to do with that client data. I think that is crucial for the success for any training in the industry, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. And maybe a side question, but it's a question we often have coming up. In your opinion, it's maybe a side point, but what are your aspects of writing a good prompt? And why is a good prompt important? It's maybe too practical for what you do, but
no, it's a very good question. We actually debate it daily over here as well. I think clarity is crucial for a good prompt, to be honest. Be explicit about the task. So give the right context and the format you expect. So it always starts with that clarity. Define the boundaries of the prompt. So to give you an example, limit to 3 bullet points versus a one-pager, an example. Give a lot of context, include relevant backgrounds. That context exactly will make sure that you can deliver a lot of good outputs. So giving the more context you can give, the better outputs you will receive. And why is that important? And that's almost stating the obvious. I think if you have poor prompts, the system or the machines will maybe generate hallucinations or irrelevant answers. But if you really start with good prompts with the right context, the clarity in place, you really can start delivering reliable outputs that can save you time. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting, very useful as well. Thank you. And general, maybe specifically on the sector we are in, can you give general practice? It's related to the question I asked earlier, but in terms of the AI tools, are there specific tips and tools that you could recommend specifically for auditors and accountants that either they don't know that exists or that they should be aware of that is out there that could be useful to them?
So I can only pitch my own company over here, obviously, but no, I will not do that. I think so. Maybe let me talk about the struggle of our industry. In my opinion, we try to adopt AI. We want to adopt AI, but it's pretty unclear what to do. And then you have the big LLMs, the big models that you can put in place. You can start prompting, but to come back to the previous question, if you prompt with a lack of context, if you prompt with a lack of safeguards and in your workflow assumptions, an example, it will be very high level. So look for specific use cases that can really help you adapt and bring quality and efficiency in existing workflows, to be honest, and that already have that context in place, because it's crucial to show the added value of an AI system in your organization. Yeah.
Very interesting. And I have one final question, maybe it's slightly more high level or maybe conceptual, but I think with your experience at Ravical, that's definitely very relevant. So AI agents generally have become a very up and coming and burgeoning topic. Can you maybe briefly explain them to people who are not aware of what they are or how they work, and maybe how important you think it is specifically for the accounting and auditing sector?
Yeah, so very high level. And it's not with all the technical expertise over here, but I think it's important to explain. So we have seen the wave of the LLMs. So basically all the knowledge that we have as an industry is sitting in an LLM that has already an impact for us as an industry, because if you prompt properly, you can start generating an example, good tax advice based on the maturity of an LLM. So that is basically what's happening a few years ago and already happening as we speak. But next to that, you have as well the agentic AI revolution, evolution, whatever you want to name it. But AI agents are agents or is autonomous software that can go almost autonomously from A to B. With the right context, it can start reasoning, it can start solving repetitive workflows. So it can really help you as a super brain in your organization. And the combination of an LLM and the agentic AI can be very powerful for our industry, in my opinion, because you can start combining knowledge with a super brain that can go autonomous from A to B, which can start reasoning in the context of a client, in the context of a specific industry, but can really start to offer you that agentic workforce. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Thank you. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for joining us for this insightful conversation, and a big thank you to Joris Van Der Gucht for making the time to share with us his expertise and to speak with us today. Really appreciate it. As usual, we'd also like to thank all the experts at EFA for their input and for supporting this important discussion. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to visit the EFA website for more resources and updates on digital developments affecting the profession today. Also, if you haven't had the chance, check out the AI and Accounting Guide that delves deeply in the topics we discussed today. And don't forget to tune into our next episode, where we'll continue exploring the tools and trends shaping the future of accounting and finance. Thank you, and until next time.
Thank you.